Hey guys, how you doing? It's the Honey Do Carpenter. I'm going to explain the first component today. The reason I chose this component was because it by and far got the most attention. Essentially, I want to explain exactly what are our goals. Well, our goal is efficiency, and I want you to think of that bench as a battery. Our main goal is to charge a battery and slowly release the energy over time. This is really high tech, isn't it, guys? The way I did that? That's awesome. Before I get started, let's look at some viewers' comments. Okay, here we are. Gary McClay said, great video. But he said, Air Crete, question mark, question mark. Is Air Crete good for storing heat and releasing it slowly? And I'm here to tell you, Gary, that is a great question. If I look at the replies, however, one of my viewers decided that he would reply back with a resounding no. And of course, I went in and put my own reply in, and I said yes. But it does depend on the mix and the configuration of the different elements in a certain combination to accomplish the goal. I will explain component by component the configuration of all the components of the heater. Stay tuned, you will see. And that's what I'm going to attempt today. That obviously wasn't even nearly the only one that had concerns about the Air Crete in the bench. Are they right? Yeah. If you can heat Air Crete up, does it release it slowly? Yes, it does. It releases it very slowly. But to say no to it, that was correct as well, because it would have to run a long time for it to heat up. The first element I want to explain to you guys is the liner inside the box. So let's remove a few elements out of the box, and I'll do a little explanation right now. But you would want to line this wall along a basement wall, on the bottom, on the floor of the basement, and this wall with a reflective material before you ever thought about pouring any aircrete in this. That way, any heat will be reflected out and radiate into the room, into this area where we want it to be. Now I'm going to go into this next view, and there we have our rocket stove. And the rest of the basement is cut away. I'm going to go ahead and move it in a little bit closer. As you can see, I'm cutting all the way through the stove. And I will show you guys more cutaway views of the stove, the vortex area, the shape of it, why it's that way, and what it's going to accomplish. And we'll go through all these components. But for now, I'm going to focus on the bench. And there, when we go into a cutaway of the bench, you can see the entry and the exit of the tubes. The idea and what we're trying to accomplish here is that we want to run our stove a couple hours a day, charge that battery, and let that heat slow release, and we can use way less wood. My whole thing for this is I want to do a video called Heat Your Home All Winter with one pickup truckload of wood. So let's go into my other illustration where I do a cutaway of the bench. So let's pull up that file. And here we go. But as you can see, I've put a ton of little tentacles on the pipe and extended them out into the extremities of the aircrete to get that heat out there very quickly. Now, how are we going to accomplish that? Hey, buddy, you going to sit here with me? I have some help, guys. My son, he wants to watch Dad draw. You like watching Dad draw?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love you, buddy.
Actually, you have a draw with food. No?
Yeah, I'm drawing these things. Okay, so... and we're back. So what are those tentacles made of, and why? And why is this superior to a normal bench system? Bulk copper rolls This is super thin, only a mil thick. Those 2-inch wide strips that I'm using in the example would be less than a quarter, about 22 cents a foot. Now what happens, I'll pull the pipe and the tubes that have these tentacles coming off of them, and just to kind of give you guys a sense of what they look like outside of the aircrete. Right now I have it in X-ray view. I'm going to take it off X-ray. We'll just pull the pipes out.
The pipes up.
I have a helper, don't I?
Papa. Oh.
And you've got all those copper strips. Now in this example I just have one 2-inch by 24-inch long piece of strip wrapped around the pipe and extended out into the extremities. Could you do more than that? Or double it and have more out? Yeah. Could you use like a copper wire if you have access to it? Yeah. You could make the tentacles out of any material that you want as long as it's made of copper. I've done a lot of inventions that required great heat radiation. Okay guys, here I have some copper wire and some steel wire. And I've done enough experiments with this stuff to know that if you're to hold it about 3.5, 4 inches away from the end and you light it with a lighter, I mean within seconds it's burning you down here. Copper is a great transmitter of, what are you doing, babe? Let me get my safety glasses on. One, two, three, four. Ooh, that's getting hot. Why'd you do that? The steel wire, I could probably hold it for, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds, like 5 times as long. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't know, for some reason in steel, it heats it, but it radiates off of it a lot faster, so it moves through it a lot slower than it does with copper. Copper is a great heat radiator. Ow! That's still hot. Dang it, babe. Now, what does this accomplish? If aircrete is within just a few inches of its heat source, it takes on that heat source really quickly. The stovepipe, the double wall aircrete insulated stovepipe, the reason it flew so hard and sucks so hard that it can overcome almost a 2-foot downdraft in Julie's stove to go into the bench is because, one, we have the valve on there and you heat the pipe up first, but within 5 minutes it's heated up. It heats up very quickly because the heat source is right near the aircrete. It also acts as a great insulator, so it won't let that heat radiate out quickly, and a gas is like any other object in motion. It wants to stay in motion. If you ran this stove and tried to heat this whole block up with hot air going in the entry and then coming out the exit, you would have to run it for so long. It'll be self-defeating before it ever heated this whole block up. However, with these radiating tentacles that are radiating out into the extremities of the aircrete, it's going to heat up very quickly, and it's going to use a far greater percentage of the energy going through this block to charge the battery, and you won't have a bunch of wasted heat just flowing through and up and out. And then you could shut your stove down after running it for half as long as normal. The insulative value is a plus because then it releases the heat very slowly into the room. It would just stay hot 18, 24 hours before you'd have to start your stove up and recharge that battery again. But that's how I want to do it. I want to wrap the pipe with either wire or flat strips of copper and extend them out into the tentacles and make a heat radiator out of these pipes to radiate heat into the battery, make it store it way more quickly, not waste any of that hot air coming through, and let it go straight out the stovepipe.